Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. Hope everybody's okay. Love to everybody. Just making a quick video. A little bit discouraged today. A bit fed up. Um, I I took in a homeless person. Tried to help them. I took them in for 4 days. I took them in a day a few weeks ago. A couple of days a few weeks before that. I took them in a couple of days about a month ago and helped them to get into a rehabilitation centre. Then they left the rehabilitation centre, and then they disappeared. Then they turned up a few weeks ago. I let this person stay one night. Then the person came to me and asked if they could stay, and I let them stay another night. Then they only had 3 days to live in a hostel, and the other 4 days they were homeless. And they told me that this guy told me that he I'm just quite upset really. The guy told me that he got some accommodation and he was looking forward to moving in the accommodation which this church ran, and he showed me the details. But he had nowhere to stay for 4 days, so I said, well, you can stay. And people know him who I know. A couple of pastors and evangelists know him. So I thought, well, it'd be okay. And so the guy stayed a couple of days, and I woke up this morning and he disappeared. He's gone. He's took his rucksack, and I've just gone into my wallet and I can't find my credit card anywhere. So I definitely know that I had my credit card a couple of days ago, and then I bought them Bibles. If you remember seeing the Bibles, I bought my Bibles at the Christian bookshop. I used my card. The guy was actually with me, so he could have seen my PIN number, because my card's gone this morning, but my PIN number's still there. So this guy's pretty smart. So I'm going to have to phone the police in a minute. Well, I'm going to phone Barclays Bank first and see how it goes. I don't want to get this guy into trouble, but I'm going to have to get the card cancelled. But I'm just disappointed because the guy seemed genuine and he seemed like a really nice person, and I just really wanted to help the guy really, to get back on his feet. So I'm a bit upset about that. So there's 2 homeless people I've helped, and the first homeless person that I helped was just a complete utter mick tank. I took them off the street for a few days, and they went on my computer and just completely messed it up. They took my Kaspersky off, and just the computer was just a mess. It had viruses on and everything. But that was last year. But that guy really messed me about. He kept coming back to the house, and in the end, I had to tell him, if he came again, I'd get the police. But this guy, I thought would be different. I thought it'd be genuine and stuff. So I think the lesson I've learned is you can't help people unless they really show that they want help, and that you can see them actually trying, and then you can help people. But when people just say things by word, doesn't mean anything really. So I'm disappointed really. The other thing is, what I've been doing is, I've been having my milk and cookies in the evening rather than fighting the militant atheist, and that's been good. I've been relaxing. I've been doing a lot of research. I've read a lot of stuff. Recently I read the history of epistemology, over 2,000 years history of epistemology, and I read about 200 pages of John Frame's notes. I found that really refreshing and really helpful. So I'm trying to keep on the milk and cookies and at night rather than making loads of videos attacking atheists. I've made videos, generally. I've made one or two videos, but it's nothing like I used to. And I've made a few apologetic videos, which are mainly just talking about Christianity mainly. So I'm doing well. I'm keeping. I think I'm keeping a lot more away from the militant atheist. And I'm keeping to my milk and cookies at night, so that's good. Um, and as I'm having my milk and cookies, I'm doing lots of research, lots of reading, and hopefully when I get time, I'll do some writing. Just feel like crying, you know. I just feel really upset about this guy. You know, I really trusted the guy, really tried to help that guy. But anyhow, what was I going to say? So the milk and cookies is being maintained, and while I'm doing that, I'm doing a lot of research and philosophical studies and stuff like that, which has been good. I have a friend who's trained in analytical philosophy. We've been having some long discussions at night. It's been really, really long. That's why I'm tired. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and last week I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning talking to my analytic philosopher friend who's going to uni to study philosophy and theology, but he really knows his stuff. He's really done a lot of thinking and reading in analytic philosophy, and so that's been good. It's caused me to think a lot, and it's actually pushed me in the area of epistemology to come down on a kind of modified presuppositionalism, which I haven't fully worked out yet. But after looking at 2,000 years of epistemology, so I've kind of come down on Van Til's ideas, really. And my friend, who's an analytic, trained in this kind of analytic philosophy, like kind of rung rings around me in a lot of questions. I mean, the basic thing that we're disagreeing is I'm saying that the epistemological foundation of all knowledge has to be rooted in God, and he's saying, he's a Christian, but he's saying no, that can't be, because even if you don't believe in revelation or even in God, you still got to use reason. And my argument to him is, yeah, but there are certain philosophical epistemological foundations that if you're going to use reason, you've still got to assume. And he says no, because reason is a basic belief, and he unpacked that. And I still think that that Van Til's correct, that there are these, and also his argument was, my friend's argument was that, you know, you can't argue to possible worlds and say, well, you know, it's possible, and a lot of this presupposition goes on that kind of bandwagon. You know, like saying it's possible that we're a brain in a vat, and my friend would say, yeah, possible doesn't make evidence. We have evidence that basic beliefs are viable. And my point is, I think ultimately though, I think really his basic beliefs philosophy that he's got from Van Til, I still think it comes down to a kind of a nuanced philosophical pragmatism with a bit of foundationalism thrown in. That's what it seemed to me what my friend was doing. My friend who's listening, love you, mate. That's what it seemed to me. It still didn't. I think that it's not about possible worlds that we're a brain in a vat. I think that without God, this world has no epistemic foundation. It has no ontological grounding. So therefore, you need to pontificate God in order to have this ontological foundation for reality. And basic beliefs from a Plantinga point of view, or even from the empiricist of an atheist, or some atheist, or foundationalist, or pragmatist, still has to assume, for example, the ontological reality of knowledge. I.e., what I mean by ontology, I mean ontology has a general meaning in philosophy, but when I use it, I mean that in terms of being, is that human beings are a reality. What can I say? They are reality contained. There is a contained reality of a human being. To me, that's ontology as in being, and we assume that as a rationalist. We assume that as when we use our reason. We can't prove it. It's only unless you go on a kind of metaphysical reflection that you can kind of get a handle on it. Now, my friend would say, well, he came up with some really good arguments. He was saying, even if you take this presuppositional stuff, he said, it doesn't get you the God of the Bible. It only gets you the God of theism. So that's a point that I need to think about. He says you still got to use reason to come up with these various constructs and reflections, so it's self-defeating. And he said if you go down that road, you get onto an infinite regress. And I was thinking today, well, isn't infinite regress unavoidable? I.e., isn't authority in anything that is in time contingent upon another aspect of time, or contingent, anything that is in part of matter is contingent upon matter, so there's always going to be a regress. You're always going to have to keep going back and back, and reason is, in order to have authority for reason, is going to try and answer by reason, by reason, by reason, and it goes on to infinite regress. He says that this is stopped by just pontificating the idea of basic beliefs, that are basic epistemic foundations that cannot be proven, but that they allow us to function in a rational way. And in order to debunk that, you have to use this basic belief, the basic foundation of reason. And so it's self-defeating to do so. So you have to accept that in order to be able to do reason, you have to use reason. But I still think that's avoided this infinite regress. I've not fully worked it out, but I'm just reflecting. My friend who's trained in this analytic philosophy, doesn't agree with presuppositional apologetics. I don't agree with presuppositional apologetics the way Sai presents it. However, as I've just looked at 2,000 years of history of epistemology, and that includes looking at Plantinga and analytical philosophy and Hegel and Kant and Hume and Barth and Moltmann and Van Til and Bertrand Russell, and looking at all these thinkers. These are just some of my ideas that I'm coming. I think that Christ is the centre of all reason. We need a meta-narrative for reason, or reason loses its purpose ultimately. That's another issue. So these are my thoughts. So I suppose my video can be called Milk and Cookies and Analytical Philosophy, mainly. I just shared a bit about what's happened today. Take care and God bless.